You know why suddenly Donald Trump is obsessed with Somalis? Because he thinks they can distract Americans from Epstein. It is all Epstein files. It starts and ends with that.
I have nothing to do with Jeffrey Epstein. I threw him out of my club many years ago because I thought he was a sick pervert. But
wow. Trump is hilarious.
They can do whatever they want. We'll give them everything. Sure, I would. Let the Senate look at it. Let anybody look at it. But don't talk about it too much because, honestly, I don't want to take it away from us. It's really a Democrat problem. The Democrats were Epstein's friends, all of them. And it's a hoax. The whole thing is a hoax. I don't care. They can do whatever they want. We'll give them everything. We'll give them everything, sure. I would. Let the Senate look at it. Let anybody look at it. Don't talk about it too much because, honestly, I don't want it to take away from us. It's really a Democrat problem.
Every single time Epstein files are brought up, he either dismisses it, he doesn't want to talk about it, or he blames it onto Democrats. But it all centers around him. It's his best friend. It's his basic persona. That's his lifestyle. And it's not just Epstein, by the way. Donald Trump was lawless. Donald Trump never wanted to pay taxes, as he admits to Hillary Clinton. Check it out.
He doesn't want the American people, all of you watching tonight, to know that he's paid nothing in federal taxes, because the only years that anybody's ever seen were a couple of years when he had to turn them over to state authorities when he was trying to get a casino license, and they showed he didn't pay any federal income tax. So if he's paid zero, that means zero for troops, zero for vets, zero for schools or health. And I think probably he's not all that enthusiastic about having the rest of our country see what the real reasons are, because it must be something really important, even terrible, that he's trying to hide.
And as someone who says he cares about the law or crime, he pardons every single person on his camp who commits a crime. From January 6th to the Bundys, to Bannon, to Giuliani, to every single person in Trump orbit, he basically gives them a pardon. Why is he giving you this false flag?
Hi, sir. Happy
Sure.
Thanksgiving.
Hi.
What do the Somalians have to do with this Afghan guy who shot the national?
Nothing, but Somalians have caused a lot of trouble. They're ripping us off for a lot of money. There's a tremendous amount of money going back to Somalia. What the hell are we paying money to?
Somali Americans make a very small percentage. And by the way, they contribute immensely to this economy. They contribute immensely to anywhere they go, from transportation to healthcare to education to anything. Somali Americans are largely law-abiding. So you're not going to distract us from what really matters, which is American economy is in shambles. People are suffering, unable to afford housing, unable to afford food, unable to afford anything. And that is something Donald Trump does not want to talk about it. He definitely doesn't want to talk about Epstein files. Keep saying every single time they try to distract us, it's Epstein, Epstein, Epstein. It's Hollywood tape. All of these things, he admitted. Look, him admitting committing a crime against women. A sexual predator. That's the person. Check this out.
I just start kissing them. It's like a magnet. Just kiss. I don't even wait. And when you're a star, they let you do it. You can do anything. Grab them by the you can do anything. That's what you said, correct?
Well, historically, that's true with stars.
It's true with stars that they can grab women by the
Well, that's what it's. If you look over the last million years, I guess that's been largely true. Not always, but largely true. Unfortunately or fortunately.
And you consider yourself to be a star?
I think you can say that.
He denies connection with Epstein. Then he admits connection with Epstein when it's too big. Then he tries to change the subject. He's always about this and that and Somalis. No, it's Epstein. It's Epstein. Check this out.
A tape in the NBC archives of a Mar-a-Lago party shows Trump giving Epstein his personal attention.
Donald! Donald! Donald!
The footage, shot in November of 1992, before Trump opened the resort as a club shows the future president surrounded by cheerleaders for the Buffalo Bills and Miami Dolphins, capturing Trump's fun-loving bachelor lifestyle for an appearance on Faith Daniels' NBC talk show.
We're going to get great ratings in your show.
Trump is surrounded by women as music blares in the background. After a while, Trump goes to greet 3 new guests, among them the financier Jeffrey Epstein.
Come on in. Go inside.
More than a decade before his guilty plea on state prostitution charges. Later in the footage, Trump is seen talking to Epstein and another man as women are dancing in front of them. Trump alternates between dancing and pointing out women to Epstein and the other man and telling Epstein about the cameras. Though exactly what they say is difficult to understand as they discuss the women and their appearances, Trump gestures to one and appears to say to Epstein, "Look at her back there. She's hot." And then Trump says something else into Epstein's ear that makes him double over with laughter. But
instead, who does he blame? Somalis, Ilhan Omar, because he thinks they're an easy target. No. We're going to go back to Epstein. Always Epstein.
I was live, and I just got packed from going live because I was talking about this. So I'm about to make a fucking TikTok about it because what you mean I can't talk about this? Basically, I was talking about Abarso, the school in Somalia, and how they are the biggest cult ever. In 2003, there was a couple named the Iingtons who got pew-pewed in Somalia because they owned and ran a school and they were whites. And the Somalis didn't like that. So you're telling me 5 years later in 2008, an Adan man named Jonathan Starr, a former financial executive from the United States, opens a school in Somalia? When I tell you, these Adan people play the long game, okay? Abarso students are so loyal to Abarso. They're more loyal to Abarso than their fucking parents. They literally live and breathe for that school. If you don't know, Abarso is a boarding school that sends its students to universities abroad, prestigious universities like Harvard and MIT and these Ivy League big schools. Now it's 2022. The school was founded in 2008. So the graduating classes are adults. And what are they? These are the future leaders, the business owners, the political people. They are entering the workforce loyal to Abarso. Quite literally, they're shaping our youth. But it just doesn't end there. Recently, Abarso founded their private equity firm where they are asking Somali entrepreneurs for 30% equity in exchange for seed funding. I spoke to one of the Adan men on the Abarso team and I asked them, why Somaliland? And he point blank told me, when you do private equity in the US, you don't get to have any say in the corporate culture and how the business scales. So they came to Somaliland giving seed funding to our entrepreneurs in exchange for ownership, pretty much, of the business and 30% equity. It's corporate colonization. When I tell you that Americans couldn't find a way to be in Somalia through physical force, Black Hawk Down, they took the back door. And now they're trying to economically take over. And that's my 2 cents. And I cannot believe that TikTok packed me for talking about it. That is so stupid. And I hope more people do their research because what the fuck?
Somaliland showed up in the Epstein file. Yes, the Epstein file. Epstein received a document literally titled The Recognition of Somaliland. Huh? And another email talking about proposing a project called Somaliwood Studio. Basically a children's TV show like the Sesame Street. But this time for the Somalis in Somaliland. Somaliland, you're not coming back from this. Your PR just took a hit. What do you mean Somaliland being recognized is in the Epstein file? This is the route you took? Sacrificing Somali children in exchange for international clout, international recognition? And can you explain to me about the school in Somaliland that's being funded by Epstein? The school is apparently called Abarso. Huh? Somaliland, come to the comment section. Explain yourself eloquently before we reach any conclusion. Yeesh. Yeah.
You've been okay. Welcome to Black White Commentary YouTube channel. And in today's episode, we're going to speak about Epstein and the Somaliland Somalia has been mentioned in this file, and you realize that we have a lot of things that come up from these files. Therefore, one of them being Somaliland recognition, film studio, which is Somaliwood Film Studio, water export ventures, financial services, and geopolitical context. How is all this connected to sex trafficking? And therefore, this is food for thought. Let's sit down, relax, and enjoy. However, some specific files referencing Somaliland focus on economic and geopolitical ventures. They were released as part of the Epstein Files Transparency Act. Remember, in the United States of America, in 2025, the Transparency Act was passed. Therefore, Epstein's files were released, and therefore, 3 million files have been released by the FBI in the United States. Let's sit and enjoy.
They were trying to build schools in Somalia and open up Somaliwood studios in Somaliland and create Sesame Street type shows geared towards children. And this is exactly why the Eritrean government don't be allowing private schools or foreign NGOs to come in like that. Because you got people like this that will create these type of stuff and your people will be hurt. They will be the victims. So this is why they don't be doing this type of stuff.
Somaliland showed up in the Epstein file. That's what I spoke about yesterday in this video, and they reported it as misinformation. Seriously? Somaliland, you did show up in the Epstein file. Epstein received a document that's literally titled The Recognition of Somaliland. It's right here. And yes, he also received another email talking about a project proposing a Somali studio, right? A children's TV show. Yeah, it's right here as well. I understand you may not like the video, but for you to report it as misinformation when it's not misinformation, that's not chill like that, all right? For the Somalis who are chill like that, go to the comment section and drop all the files. Yeah, Somaliland, don't make me your enemy. You don't want that. Somaliland, I'm not your enemy. I'm chill like that. I actually have a high respect for you, and I want the best for you, all right? This is information that's sensitive. You may not like it. Chill like that. But for you to block my videos for being recommended, that's not chill like that. So this is a warning to you. Be chill like that.
The recently released Jeffrey Epstein documents have sparked global conversations about the convicted sex offender's international connections. Tonight, we examine mentions of Kenya that have appeared in these files and the questions they've raised. To be clear, these are references in emails and contact lists. No evidence has emerged linking Epstein to any criminal activity here in Kenya. But the mentions have drawn attention to Kenya's ongoing struggles with child exploitation and whether Epstein's network extended to East Africa, as NTV's senior reporter Catherine Omwando tells us.
Among the millions of pages released in the Epstein case files, several references to Kenya have caught attention. The mentions are brief, mostly travel plans and casual correspondence, but they've raised questions about the extent of Epstein's international reach. Kenya has long struggled with child sex tourism, particularly along its coastal regions. According to UNICEF, areas like Malindi, Mombasa, and Kilifi have been identified as hotspots where foreign tourists exploit vulnerable children. The country has strengthened laws in recent years, however, enforcement remains a challenge. It's against this backdrop that the Epstein documents have generated speculation. In December 2009, New York publicist Peggy Siegel emailed about traveling to Kenya with someone named Matty, mentioning planned visits to areas like Masai Mara. In the same email, Siegel made a joke about bringing back a baby or two. An apparent reference to Madonna's high-profile adoptions from Malawi around that time. The language, while seemingly playful, has drawn criticism given the later convictions in Epstein's case. It's important to note that 5 years after that email in 2014, under then-President Uhuru Kenyatta's administration, Kenya banned international adoptions entirely. The government cited concerns about child trafficking and the need to strengthen domestic adoption systems. President Kenyatta's name appears elsewhere in the file. In April 2013, businessman Sultan bin Sulaim wrote to Epstein saying that he was in Nairobi attending Kenyatta's presidential inauguration. And then Epstein suggested that they visit Kenya later that year in June. The email contains no other details about any planned visit. Photographs have circulated online showing Epstein visiting British entrepreneur Richard Branson at his Kenyan coastal property in Malindi. The timing of the visit is unclear. Malindi has been repeatedly identified by child protection organizations as an area with high rates of child sex tourism. There is no evidence suggesting Branson had any knowledge of Epstein's crimes or that Epstein engaged in illegal activities during any Kenya visit. Epstein's contact directory seized by authorities also contains the contacts of Cookie Gallman, the Italian-born Kenyan conservationist and author of I Dreamed of Africa. Gallman, now in her 80s, has been a controversial figure in Kenya, facing conflicts with local Maasai and Samburu communities over land rights. She was shot and injured during clashes in 2017. There's no indication of the nature of any relationship with Epstein or whether she even knew him personally. Several of the emails reference visits to rural areas and Maasai communities. Some contain language that seems to characterize African communities in ways that suggest an exploitative mindset. In one exchange, Epstein responds to Seagull's mention of visiting a mud hut by writing, "You will be amazed by the aroma." In another, Seagull jokes about Maasai warriors and Somali pirates.
I have nothing to do with Jeffrey Epstein. I threw him out of my club many years ago because I thought he was a sick pervert. But I guess I turned out to be right. But you know who does have? Bill Clinton, Larry Summers, who ran Harvard, was with him every single night, every single weekend. They lived together. They went to his island many times. I never did.
What we have are fragments, emails about travel, a name in a contact book, photographs of visits. What we don't have is evidence of criminal activity in Kenya. According to Kenya's National Crime Research Center, an estimated 1 to 3 children per 1,000 experience sexual abuse in coastal tourism areas. The government has established specialized police units and are working with international organizations to combat child sex tourism. Catherine Omwando.
I don't want him in our country, I'll be honest with you, okay? Somebody would say, oh, that's not politically correct. I don't care. I don't want him in our country. Their country's no good for a reason. Their country stinks, and we don't want him in our country. I could say that about other countries, too. I can say it about other countries, too. We don't want him to hell. We have to rebuild our country. You know, our country's at a tipping point. We could go bad. We're at a tipping point. I don't know if people mind me saying that, but I'm saying it. We could go one way or the other, and we're going to go the wrong way if we keep taking in garbage into our country.
Welcome back. From the videos, we realize that there is a lot that has happened before, and therefore stay tuned as we continue to dive deep in this discussion. But there are a lot of questions that arise. Political allegations. Minnesota Governor Tim Walz has suggested that the Trump administration focus on targeting Somali communities is an attempt to distract attention from other administration failures. Similarly, U.S. Representative Ilhan Omar explicitly claimed that the administration is using racist tirades to deflect from disastrous policies and the Epstein files given past investigations. Maybe it's alleged that the Somali deportation could be a distraction from opening up of these files because powerful people have been mentioned in this file. Therefore, could this deportation of Somali be a distraction from Epstein's files? That is food for thought. The administration signed legislation to release millions of pages of Epstein-related documents in late 2025, which some critics viewed as a strategic move to manage news cycles amid escalating immigration crackdown. Supporters of the administration point to a large-scale fraud case in Minnesota involving child care subsidies where many defendants were of Somali descent as primary and legitimate reasons for increased federal scrutiny. Conversely, Advocates argue these fraud claims are being manufactured or exaggerated to discredit broader social movements. Therefore, you realize that there are a lot of allegations that the deportation of Somali could be a distraction. But how is all this connected to how is Epstein case connected to Somali? That is food for thought. The documents reveal that Epstein network viewed Somaliland as a strategic and commercial target for projects such as water export, oil exploration, and film studio called Somaliwood. Trafficking expert note that Epstein of used complex business fronts, private jets, and isolated locations like private island in Caribbean to transport and exploit victims away from law enforcement scrutiny. Therefore, you realize that East Africa, the Somaliland, was a safe haven, was a strategic safe haven for someone like Epstein. Epstein documented interest in Somaliland. Epstein's documented interest in Somaliland's international recognition and its strategic location in the Horn of Africa is seen by analysts as part of his pattern of seeking out jurisdiction where he could operate with financial and legal capacity. East Africa serving as a safe haven or Somaliland serving as a safe haven for Epstein because one, there are no laws or there are no strict laws when it comes to human trafficking and sex trafficking. East Africa has always been having cases, especially Somali. You realize that children sometimes are transported from Somali to Kenya. There are allegations that in 2025 there are a lot of cases in Italy about child trafficking. Also, areas like the coastal region, there are a lot of cases when it comes to child trafficking. Ethiopia, Somali have been having high cases. Therefore, this is food for thought. How was all this connected to the Somaliland saga? How is Epstein case connected to Somali? Because we have a lot of cases that have been arising, but there is no direct connection. Get my point? There is no direct connection. It's just allegations that Somaliland is part and parcel of these cases of Epstein in sex and child trafficking. As we conclude, why do Somalis keep coming to Epstein case? Immigration and trafficking rumors. Epstein crimes involved sex trafficking of minors, often vulnerable girls. Online speculations later claimed that he trafficked girls through immigration systems, including refugees. Some people incorrectly linked this to Somali refugees without evidence. No official investigation has ever confirmed Somali victims as group tied to Epstein's. Minnesota has a large Somali population. Epstein conspiracy theories exploded online, especially YouTube, Facebook, and X. Some fringe accounts mix unrelated immigration issues, ICE cases, and Epstein creating false narrative. This misinformation and not fact. Therefore, is there a direct connection? Some might be true, some might not be true. But remember, there are facts and misinformation. Is there a real connection between the Somalis and Epstein case? That's food for thought. Therefore, if you have found this video very engaging and informative, kindly consider liking, subscribing, and pressing the notification button until we meet next time. Put your comments down there. Thank you.